This tutorial is hopefully going to be a quick overview on setting up an InDesign document, 4 pages, to create your 4-page brochure. Also, it's a bit of an overview on what you need to submit for your final assessment. So, I'm going to show you that first. So it should be a mood board. Okay, you can either have that as a standalone PNG image or a PDF. You can attach it to your brand guidelines, so you have a 1-page brand guideline as well. Okay, and then you could just put 2 pages in there and make the second one your mood board. Here I've got my mood board and then sort of associated imagery that I might want with it. Okay, it's fairly self-explanatory. Okay, and remember, on your 1-page brand guideline, you need your sort of main logo or logo type. Here I'm sort of showcasing the logo type, which is just the text version of my logo, and a little subheading. And this also shows my the fonts that I'm using here. So the main brand font is 2 lines, which is this, which I may use for headings, and it's the main logo font. Then I've got copy font, accents, grotesque extension, which I'm also using for headings here, but I'd also use it for body copy. When I say body copy, I mean little paragraphs or text that might be on a website, text that would be on posters that's smaller than isn't necessarily a headline or a title sized or display font. Okay, I've got my colours here, and the hex numbers are listed in there. Probably should put a little hashtag on those too. I think I was just quickly doing it. So the main colour is my brand, so people can easily reference them using the hex numbers. If you use the RGB reference numbers as well, or the CMYK numbers, that's absolutely fine. I don't mind which you go for. And here is my full logo with the logo type, and here are different elements and icons I might use, the version in black and white as well. Okay, you can do as many or as little as you want of these. Okay, this is a very sort of stripped down version, but it gives an idea that I know what my brand is to a degree, and then that would give anyone enough information, I suppose, to start applying it to other things. Now, as well as your brand overview, you should have a post or a poster. I keep calling it a poster, I think. Last year we sort of created a print poster, but I think it's a bit more relevant to create an Instagram sized post. You know how to sort of do that generally, but you probably will not have used software like this to do it before. In the previous tutorial, I showed you how to create one of these using a mixture of your assets from Illustrator or InDesign, your library, exporting out PNGs and uploading those to Adobe Express, using Adobe Express to create your social media posts. Okay, so you can use whatever software you feel most comfortable in. Okay, I'm going to iterate that again. You can use Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign, or Adobe Express to create your social media post. In terms of your final promotional sort of booklet, your 4-page booklet, here's mine. This is last year's brand I did. I always seem to have a cat theme going on. So Space Cheese, Space for Cats, or people in space that like cats. Here's the front page. These are 2 sort of spreads. They are the same size, it's just the way it's laid out here. I've got the front page on its own, and that sort of shrunk down due to the size of the window I've got it in. There's page 2, page 3, and this is a spread. Okay, so it opens up. So if you imagine it like a page of A4, sheet of A4 paper folded in half, it's 4 A5 pages. Okay, and so each side is considered a page, and that's the back. On here, I think intended to maybe put the logo, or a coming soon, or a find us in the space aisle, and you probably want to have some social media links or URL in there. Okay. So you should have 3 documents to upload. And if you end up putting your mood board in with your brand overview, then that's 2 documents. It's fine. As long as you have these 3 elements somehow uploaded, I'm happy. Okay, so your mood board, 1-page brand guideline, and your social media post. Have I said that? Social media and your main promotional booklet. Anyway, you know what they are. Right, let's make one. So, I'm in InDesign. I'm going to create a new file to get going. Okay. Now, if you really want to make your promotional booklet in Illustrator or Photoshop or even Adobe Express, just make sure you create it at the right print size, A5, 4 pages, and you export it as a PDF. At the end of the day, For this purposes, I don't mind what you created here, but I really want you to have a go at using InDesign. It's going to be very useful, and this time next year, Jenny is going to expect you to not be afraid to jump into InDesign, start using it, and have a bit of recollection on how to use it. Okay. Anyway, create my new document. I'm going to go to print. Okay, it doesn't really matter if we don't go to print, but in print you should have an A5 document. It makes life a bit easier. So A5. Yep, that's fine. Make sure this is in millimeters. If it's in something weird like picas or agates or segueros, it's gonna just get a bit confusing. Millimeters for print work makes sense. If you're doing something like your social media post in any of these softwares, you're going to want to use pixels, because pixels are the measurements used online, okay, on the web, on computers generally. But millimeters is for print, and if this is a promotional booklet that's going to be printed, A5, we want it in print. Pages, I want 4 pages here. Facing pages means we get a nice little spread. You see the 2 pages facing each other. I think that's useful when you get an idea of what you're doing in your page 2 and 3. If they're not facing pages, it's not the end of the world, don't worry. I'm not going to put a text frame in yet. I'm going to sort of keep that completely manual. Leave the columns gutters for now. Actually, we could put 4 columns in. No, I'm going to do that as a guide later. It's good I'll show you how to make a guide and a grid to help you lay things out. Margins, don't worry about those. The default is fine. If you really want to change it, you can, but it's 12 millimeters, just over a centimeter, and that'll give you a fine margin. Bleed and slug. So bleed is the area on the outside of your page where if it's being printed, it's like leaves a margin of error. So paper cutters aren't always exactly accurate. There may be a leeway of between 1 and 3 millimeters. Okay, so within that, you make sure any content on your page, images, color, is outside the edge, and you usually have that as 3 millimeters. I'm going to put 3 millimeters in. Again, I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't have that bleed there. Okay, when you export it as your PDF, you won't see the bleed anyway. I just put it in there as practice. That's what I normally do. Slug is the area in between your pages, but don't worry about that. Okay, let's click create. Boom, there we go. So if you don't, you should have you lay it a bit like this. You should have a little pages tab over here on the right hand side. Okay, so that's page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see those 4 pages. You can always zoom out by pressing Command and minus. Don't forget, up here in the top right hand corner, this shows the keys I'm pressing, okay, while I'm going along. Right. That's looking good so far. Now, I find it much easier to use a different workspace that gives me more information, okay, more menus and things. It can look a bit cluttered, but it means if you're thinking, how do I just change the thickness of this outline, or how do I change the text, it makes life a bit easier. I'm going to go to Essentials Classic, or maybe even Typography, but let's try Essentials Classic first. It gives me some bits. I'm going to see what Typography looks like, because that will give me these little things as well. The character, which is easy for text. Okay, so I'm going to go for, there we go. So Window, Workspace, Typography, I think is going to be the best for this. Failing that, if you're thinking, where's all my menus, just make sure you go to your Essentials Classic, or even Advanced. I think that will give me even everything. Maybe, I'm going to go for Typography. Okay, this top menu is really useful. Depending on what tool you're selecting or what elements on your page, it will change. Trust me, once you actually start moving things around, you'll notice it. Okay, go away. Right, thing I like to do is to create a guide or a grid for my work. It's been used since the dawn of the printing press, and it just means things can be laid out in a way that just looks proper. Okay, without a grid, you can lay things out on your page. It'll look okay, but it's missing something that looks like it's being done professionally, and it's hard to pinpoint. And until you start using a grid, then it just makes life a lot easier to do that. So over here, each of these pages have a little A in the corner, which means that the A parent has been applied. So I'm going to double click here on A parent, okay? And it shows me my spread view. I'm going to add a grid by going to Layout, Create Guides. Rows, I'm just going to go for four rows, and that'll be fine. Gutter, I'm going to leave the gutter, that's the space in between the columns, which means when you've got, say, 2 or 4, 3 columns of text, there's a bit of space in between them. It just feels right. Think of a newspaper, the way the columns of text are laid out in a newspaper. Sorry, those are the rows. I'm going to do the same for the columns. So it's a 4-column grid, okay? It's one of the most common grids you can get. In terms of these rows, that's the sort of the horizontal lines. It doesn't really matter how many you do. How many you think might be useful. Sometimes I put 4, sometimes I put 6, sometimes I put 8. And columns sometimes change. I might use 4, I might use a multiple of 4. I might use 6, but for now I'm going for a 4-column grid. Leave the gutter and fit it to the margins. That means this margin that's around the edge gives your work a bit of breathing space. Don't put things right up to the edge. This gives you a guide of where you should keep your content. Any text or images that really want to stand out, keep them in that margin. If I'm going to click the preview, you can see what this looks like as well. If I do it to page, you can see it jumps out. It just doesn't make much sense. So keep it to margins. Oops. So I've done that too many times. It's showing all the guides. I'm going to click remove existing guides just to make sure I've got the latest thing. That looks right. Click OK. So, because I double clicked in here, this is our master sort of template page. Now I go into A. Our main pages also have that guide in them. And if I change the guide in the master, it'll apply to here as well. Okay? It means I can also add elements up here that will stay here. So I could add the title of the document, for instance, in the corner, and it would pass through to the other pages. Right, page 1. I'm going to open up Illustrator just because that's where I know where I've got all my document elements, my assets that are part of my brand. So my brand this year is Cat Hat. Hats for your cat. Maybe hats for your cats if you've got more than one cat. Okay, if you're a crazy cat lady like me, you probably have more than one cat. Although I don't have a cat at the moment. I do love cats. Always had a pet cat. I haven't had one for a good few years now, so maybe 2025 will be the year of the cat in my house. Okay, Adobe Illustrator. I'm going to open up my latest version that I was working on. Okay, and if you've saved your work to the cloud, hopefully if you're working from home, you should have access to your work as well. Okay, so this is certainly not my brand guidelines. If you've got your brand guidelines in the InDesign document as well, that would also make sense to start using. I don't think I properly finished mine in InDesign. So here's my Illustrator for all the elements I might want. I do have a little library set up, and I think I can access that in InDesign. So if you've made your library, if you can't remember how to make libraries, I think I covered it a little bit in the last video tutorial. Otherwise, have a little Google. That'll help you. Oh, CC libraries, Cat Hat brand. So I've got all my elements here. Okay, so in theory, I could use a lot of these and start dragging them in. I might do a bit of a mix. And I've also got an image that I want to use that I haven't got in my library. So I'm just going to grab that. Where does that live? It's this background here. Okay, I've got a normal space one. I've got this blue one as well. So I'm going to get the blue one, I think. Actually, I'm going to add a bit of colour. So I'm just going to bring a big colour into this area here. The colours we've got, I'm going to use the green. Why not? I'm going to drag that over here. There we go. Oh, that's a bit big. If I drag that in, it acts like placing an image. So remember when you place a photo or an image, it sort of sticks to your thing. If you click it once, it's the full size, or you can click and drag it. Okay, it looks like it's slightly off here anyway, that's fine. I'm going to click and drag here. This is a bounding box, remember this isn't actually the main element, so this is like a frame to my image. And on this page layout here, that red line along the top is my bleed, okay? So the actual page is this black area here, all right? If I press W, I'll see how it's actually going to look. As you see, that bleed's disappeared. Okay, so the bleed is there for your working purposes. If you haven't got a bleed, doesn't matter for this. Okay. I'm going to bring my logo into there. Now I could just grab something from my assets here. I'm just going to take it from Illustrator. I kind of like just copying and pasting sometimes. So I think on this front page, I'm going to have, what have we got here? We've got that there. I'm going to go for, let's see what the full logo is like actually. So I've got my cat hat there. Now, one thing I probably would do when bouncing between different bits is I've got my text here. That's fine. Okay. If you notice, you click these. Some of them, I've got a line on the bottom. Okay. And if you double click, you can go in and edit the text. That's actually just live text sitting there. If I click on that, it shows me what the font is. Down here, I've got a version of the logo type rather, the name, title, and that's outlined, you see. And that is actually, if I double click in that, I can't do anything. It goes me into this weird space. If I press escape to get out of there, that is a graphic. And the way you create a graphic like that, if you click your text, click type, create outlines, it turns that into a graphic. It means you won't accidentally change the font. It means if you're working on a computer that doesn't have that font installed, it will still work, because this is literally just a vector graphic. Okay, so I'm going to choose my that there. I'm going to plop that. So bouncing back in. By the way, bouncing between software like this, I'm just holding down Command and then pressing Tab. Okay, on the top you can see what that looks like. And to go back, you press the little thing. Anyway, what am I doing? Here, right, paste. Boom, cat hat. Lovely. I'm going to put him in the middle-ish. So we are. I'm going to Illustrator and take this guy. Oh, actually, I want the white version. I think the white face, because he's on a green background. Boom. There we are. Cat hat. I probably want a bit of text maybe along the top explaining what this is. So I'm going to create a text box. So press T or click the T icon over there in the tool panel. Click and drag to create a text box. And type hats for your cat. Okay, I'm going to choose the font that I've been using in here. So go to character down here. If you don't see any of these, don't see the character, it's hidden away somewhere sometimes. Go to window and it's hidden in type and tables and then character. Click that and you'll be able to see your text. So my font was DIN. I can't remember what it was now. Let's just go for DIN 2024. Actually, if I jump here, it'll tell me. DIN condensed bold. Oh well, that'll be fine. Change my font size here, and I can just click up on the arrow keys when I'm clicked in here, make life a bit easier. Now, one thing I think I might want is all capitals for this. An easy way to do that, rather than going back in and retyping, if you've got this character window open, and you click on the little burger menu in the corner, click on all caps, and this happens. All right. I'm going to shrink that down a few now. So I'm going to click back in the text here, the text size, and go down the bottom arrow key, down arrow key rather. Great. I'm also going to align this centered. So click on the paragraph over here and do that. Just going to move my little. There we go. Cool. Hats for your cat. And if you've got a text box and you're kind of having to rearrange where your text lives, you're sort of dragging that around, one thing you might want to do is if you just make your text window like that, up here, once it's selected, you should see this little area around here. So there at the top there, it's aligning the text at the top. That'll align the text to the bottom of the window, and that aligns it to the center. Often I'll forget and I'll just leave it in the middle, but leaving it at the center can be quite handy, especially if you've got these guides, which are here for a reason. I'm going to actually move these around so they fit within the guides a bit more. Okay, and what I've done with this one is I've got this right in the middle, so it's sort of half and half of that guide. It should still feel quite balanced, so I'm going to jump out. Yeah, that feels about right. That's for your cat. Okay, so here we've covered adding in a bit of just block colour. Oh no, we haven't actually. That was just an asset I had. I could do the same thing with that if I just selected the rectangle tool and chose a colour and click and drag. Okay, have the same thing going on here. This one has a black outline on it because the stroke is selected up here and here. If I want to change that, I can either click here and click nope, or go up to here and choose none. Okay, very easy. Right, I'm just going to delete that because I don't need that now. Pages, next page. What do I want this page? I want a photo. So I'm going to go to Finder, find my photo I want to use. It's the big space photo. Oh, what's going on here? Columns. Kind of man. Cat hats. Is that where I've got my picture? Yes, it is. So I'm going to either use that or that. I'm going to go for this big blue one, I think. So I'm going to. I can either literally drag that in. Okay, that does work. And you get this, and it will place it where you click, like that. Or I could go to File, Place, and it will go and find my. Open up Find like that, and I'll have to navigate to it, but then I should be able to find it quite easily. So I'm gonna have this, but I think I'm gonna have it the other way around. So I'm just gonna actually just click on it. Made a massive version of it. It's a bit too big, and I'm gonna resize that now. Clicking on this, I've got this blue outline around here. This is the frame. If I just try and resize this, it doesn't resize. I'm just literally cropping the area. Okay. And there's a very good reason it does it. It's not just trying to be annoying. It is actually quite useful. I'm going to, if you then hover over this, and you see that little sort of target in there. If you click on that, okay. You can't quite see it there, but if I scroll, there we go. This gold line is the actual size of your image. So I can click, hold down Shift so it resizes proportion. Then I can resize it. If I hold down Option as well, while holding down Shift, it will sort of resize from the center, which I often find a bit more useful. Okay, and if I click here, I could always just resize that there. Okay. The other thing you can do, if you hold down Shift as well when you're rotating, it'll sort of go 45 degrees at a time. The other thing you could do, if you click on this, you want to resize everything, the frame, bounding box, and the actual image size. It's a bit of a mouthful here, so I'm holding down Shift and Command at the same time. Now I'm going to resize it, and it'll actually resize, okay, the image like that. Okay, I'm happy with that. If I press W, I'll see how it actually looks. Okay, so again, I can see everything else just so I can work with it. But I'm going to center this. I quite like that. Actually, I'm going to resize. I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to. There we go. And I'm going to bring the frame to the edges just so I can keep things tidy and neat. You know, unsurprising. I am actually a really crazy, disorganized, chaotic person, but when doing stuff like this, I get quite boring about it. Right, there we go. That's nice. So I'm going to bring in a bit of text, maybe. Now I could just copy that because it's the same kind of size that I'd like to use. I'm not going to set up paragraph styles and things for this. I think that is just a bit too complicated. I just paste in there. There we go. I can go in and read it. So if I just click a new what am I trying to say? If I made a new text box, typed in it, will sort of be a default text, which is always a bit annoying. It's like Minion Pro or something. I'm sure there's a way to set it up so it's not that all the time. Now, I want a bit of a blur, a bit of text about that. I'm not going to... I would like you to actually think about it and write little sort of paragraph, 3 sentences about your brand. You know, the values, what you're doing, why you new, what's so exciting, what's different, why should anyone be bothered about you? If you just want to get some text in a document, just to see what it might look like, use dummy text, okay? And I use Lorem Ipsum. It's based on Latin. It isn't actually Latin. I think apparently it's just sort of nonsense. but it has the same flow, the same sort of letters, spacing, words as written English. So if you paste that into something, it can give the impression of being actually real sort of English. Okay. Now I'm just gonna. Oh, people are struggling a bit here for some reason. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change that to the same typeface I'm using. So again, it's DIN. DIN condensed, I believe. My text here. Now I'm just going to resize that a little bit, and I can't really see it. It's obviously the wrong colour, so I'm going to just have a quick look at my. I could choose one of my other colours for that. I wonder if what's the easiest way of doing this? If I double click in there, can I? Okay. Yeah, I think if you want to get hex colours and stuff, I think you are. It's either going to have to drag it into your. If it's in your library, either drag it into your piece. Oh, this is linking back to. That's interesting. Okay. So I want that colour. I think FF0. So I'm going to click on this. I don't think this is going to work very well. I've just realised. So if I've got some colour text like this, and I want to change the colour. A few ways of doing it. Don't just double click in the colour here and change the colour straight off, because what will happen is this is always about fill colour, and this is always about the outline of things. At the moment, just below that, hidden away, formatting that affects the container. So that in all these things, the text, the images, this is blue square box is a container, okay, a frame. Next to there though is T, which is for the text. So I'm just going to go back to here, clicking the main box, and then click the no fill. Then I'm going to go to T, double click in there, and if I choose a colour now, and I can either just paste the hex colour that I had from before, although I think pink is going to not work against the other pink bits. I could try the green, I suppose. If I want to just get a colour of something like this, I can double click in here, and in order to get this colour, if I click that little eyedropper tool, the pipette, in InDesign it's slightly different. It behaves a bit like it does in Premiere for some reason. You've got to hold it down. So hold it down, and then drag around to find the colour you want to find. You can eyedropper, right? So I'm going to pick that one now. There's always more than one way to do one thing, so I'm just going to. Oh, it's done it there already because I double clicked in there to that. Yeah, that's no good either. I'm just going to go for white. Okay, so I could either just go in there, click white. If I go up to swatches, make sure the T is ticked up here. I can choose any of the colours that are currently being used really in my document, and I'm just going to go for paper. So obviously it's not white ink, it's where there is no ink on a piece of paper is where the paper goes. Now I've pasted some text into here. It looks alright, I think. Obviously it's too much text. You don't need a lot. You literally, don't be. It's not an essay, and although I will be reading it to sort of see that it outlines what your brand is about, I should be able to get a gauge of what your brand is, what your ethics are, your selling point, from one better word, even if you're not selling anything. What sets you out, what stands you apart, what's different, what's new, what's exciting, and do I understand what you are, okay, from your text. So if you can manage that, and you can do it in as few or as many words as you like, but don't make it too busy. You don't have to fill everything up. You don't fill up all the space. Let things breathe, okay? Keep it simple as well. Anyway, I'm going to say, for instance, if I had that bit of text there, and I wanted to have maybe an image here, and then follow the text down here. If you've got a text box and it's got too much text in it to contain, this little square with a red cross in it appears. Now I'm going to click on that, and I've got some little text stuck to my cursor. So if I click down here, maybe I have 2 columns of text for this bit. So I've got 3 columns there, that's the 4th. Okay, and I might want to carry it on through to the next thing. So you could write out all your text in one foul swoop if you wanted. There we go. That does that. Okay, if I jump out of here. You can really see that using this sort of technique means that what am I doing? I'm just doing what I said. Let's try the pink. I want to try the blue, the greeny colour. Okay, I've got that text selected. I could just press the eyedropper tool here, or click on there. Yes, is that alright? No, it's not alright. Oh. Clicking on that, clicking T there. Oh, I can do it this way instead. Would it work if I just clicked eyedropper tool? This is a vector graphic. Okay, yeah, so I actually need the... Okay, so that's just a graphic that we brought in that was in the library, so it's not actually the real... Then what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to make a little swatch on my dashboard. Look, see if I actually print it's not going to be there, so this is my working space. It means I can easily reference that colour now. Make my little swatch there. So if I press T, I think the eyedropper... No, it's just going to hold it. It's copying what the element is I'm looking at. Fine. Third I'm lucky. I'm just trying to show you different ways of doing everything. I'm going to click in there. I'm going to click on T. The way I'd normally do it is probably click in that T there and grab the eyedropper tool and select that. Or I could select that, go in there, double copy that hex number, blah. Anyway, let's just grab that. Do that. Great. That's the greeny colour. How's that looking? That'll do. So I want to add in some other images in here, and in order to do that, I would recommend maybe making a little box for them. So think, right, in this area I want an image that fills up this center bit. Now, in theory, any of these shapes, these vector shapes, can be used as a container. Okay, so I'm going to go for the ellipsis tool and create a circle.
Okay, I found this on the web. For any of these shapes can be used as a container. Check it out.
Damn the robots. Anyway, I need to switch that thing off. It's always listening to me. I need to get my tinfoil hat. Right, I've created that circle. I want to place an image in there, so I'm going to go to File. I realise I don't really have an image I can save there. I'm going to quickly grab one off the internet. Probably shouldn't do this. That guy will do. Oh, and if you want a bigger image to make sure it's big enough, if you go to Tools in the Google image search, go to Size, you can choose Large. It means you're not getting just a tiny little thumbnail. This guy. Actually, I need a cat in a hat, don't I? Cat in a hat. Ah, of course. I didn't think of that, did I? This guy. Okay, that'll do. I'm going to copy this. So right click, copy image. Obviously don't use photographs or images you haven't got permission to use. Right, I've got this area here. I've copied that. I could paste it into here, I think. If I go to edit, paste in place. Whoop. Ah, that hasn't worked. That's fair enough. Can I paste into? There we go. Paste into. Ah, we are. And I think that's my... Oh no, there's that. Ah. It's a bit big, isn't it? It's a big boy. I'm going to drag that, click that in there. Drag that back over so it sits within there. There we go. He works fine. So that is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it would be to right click, save image as, save it to my folder. Oh, that's right. I'm not in that document. It's wrong file. Me. Save it to your folder, and then you can place it by going to. I didn't save it, but place and then plop it in. Okay, so I'm dilly dallying. Right. So you get the idea. Create text boxes, add images, and then on your back page you might want final image again. So I'm going to actually do what I was going to do there. So press Command D or Edit. No, sorry, File, Place. I want to place a file. Oh, I have done this before, honest. Right, and then click and drag, so that sort of fills up the space with space. See what I did there? Alright, drag that up a little bit. Cool, so it's the same image basically, but that one's got effects on it, this one hasn't. That's fine. I'm going to paste in my little graphic of my cat floating in space. I think I'm going to go for the white one like that. I'm just going to turn that type into an outline just in case I have any issues exporting it to different software and things which can happen. So I've copied that, I'm going to paste it into here. Okay, if you don't know how to copy and paste, you either go up to edit and copy. Next to all these things in all the windows, and this is the same on Windows operating system as well as Windows computers. Next to the menu element, you have the shortcut. Okay, so if you press that shortcut instead of going and doing that, it'll do the same thing. So copy is Command and C. So I've got that, Command C. Then I'm going to Command and Tab into InDesign, and I can press Command and V, and it does the same thing as me going up to edit and paste. All right. I know you know this, but I'm just double checking. It's one thing copying and pasting on a phone or a tablet. It's different on a computer if you're not used to using computers. It's simple as that. Let's do that. Cool, cat hat. So create a little bit of text in here. Look sharp like your claws. Got a paragraph, center that. I can't see what the text is. We're going to character. Over here, T. Up here. Go anywhere. It's crazy. Press paper. There we are. And I want to make sure I've got the right text. Font even. Din alternate, I think would be nice. I'll make that bold. I'm gonna boom. There we go. I'm gonna make this all caps actually. I think I started writing caps and then didn't. I can make it all small caps now. Oh crikey, that's horrible. Let's make it all caps. Is that gonna work? Yes. Look sharp like your claws. Of course, I've centered that within one of these things that I'd created, my guide, and then maybe I'll add a website address at the end there. So look sharp like your claws. I'm just going to put in the same box. I probably wouldn't normally put www, but I'm going to for now. Cat hat. This cat.world. Great. Oh, I can't spell. Make sure you spell everything correctly. I'll probably create your copy in something like Word, spell check it, and paste it. So I've got my website in there. That's looking great. I'm just going to press W so I can have a quick look at my other pages. That's the front page. That's the middle pages. Obviously, I expect you to spend a bit more time and thought and energy on this and not do such a quick fire job. But if you're happy, make sure you've saved your document. Either save to Creative Cloud, I would for you guys because you'll be able to find it wherever you are. I'm going to save this one to my computer. Save. I haven't saved it properly. I've given it an untitled name. That's one thing I told you never to do. Try that again. Save as. Cat hat brochure. Great. And then to export it, go to export, save as a PDF. You export cat hat brochure, Adobe PDF, print, that will do. Click save. I wouldn't worry about doing anything here, just make sure all pages is ticked there. Click export, and then on your computer you'll have that. Now you may notice the colours are a bit more subdued and dull compared to your colours that you've chosen. Okay, that's because computers work in RGB. Print is CMYK. Okay, we did cover colour a little bit like that. Sort of print colours. Essentially, it is going to look a bit more dull because for when you print, it uses CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black rather than red, green, blue, and it just behaves completely differently than it does on the screen. What you could do to augment that is in InDesign. If you go to Transparency Blend Space under Edit, go to Document RGB, click Save. Then if I go to File, Export, Can't have brochure. Let's see if this will work. RGB. It's an InDesign. One thing I'm going to do here is go to output, and it's saying color conversion, convert to destination. No color conversion. There we go. That's what I need. Now in theory it'll export it out as RGB. So let's just try that. Can't push RGB. There we go. It's much brighter. Okay. So that I think that'd be worth doing actually. So let's get to that dialog box. It was in the file. Export. Make sure it's PDF. You could choose PDF interactive. That's made for screen, so that could work just as well. And then go to output and choose no color conversion if one of these have already been selected. In order to make your document RGB or CMYK, go to edit, transparency blends place and choose either document RGB or document CMYK. Okay. Saved it. That's that. Thank you very much. Bye.